All right, welcome everybody. We're here for our final summer webinar, and we've got some great conversations that we're going to have today, specifically around growing your team, your network, your organization by recruiting experienced producing agents. At the end of the day, here's what we know. When we look at the fastest way to grow our bottom line, it's going to be through recruiting people who are already doing things to add to our bottom line, aka taking listings, selling homes, and creating GCI that goes to their bottom line and, of course, to yours in your organization. For those that are joining us, please do me a favor and in the chat, change your chat from hosts and panelists to everyone so we can see where you're joining us from today. So go ahead and enter your city, your state, or your city and your province down in the chat there if you would. We want to see where everyone is joining us today. I know we've got a good group of leaders from around North America, and we're going to jump in and I'm going to hand it over to Kathy Schweitzer in just a second. But before I do, I want to make sure that we've got a couple resources that you guys are taking advantage of. And also, I want to make sure you know why we're qualified to talk on this topic. For those that are not familiar, not only have I been listing and selling real estate personally for 24 years, but I've been leading brokerages for 22 of them. In fact, the first brokerage I ever ran was at 20 years old, and it just happened to be called Coldwell Banker Schweitzer, which is the last name of Kathy, which is, there's a relation because the relation is, it's her. It was her and her husband's company. They had 16 offices around Metro Detroit, and Kathy took a chance on me to run one of her locations. It became the fastest growing location for 2 years. They promoted me to director of training and recruiting, and from there we started what is known today as Glover Agency. Kathy not only has ran and coached leaders like myself to run successful companies, she, of course, ran the company herself and went on to run a great company out in Boston that recruited tons of experience in producing agents. And we just know when we set a goal to go after experienced producing agents and you remove the option of bringing on newbies, which I believe that's the number one thing that gets in the way of all leaders building their teams and brokerages because they focus only on newbies. Well, Jeff, I'm running a team. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? That's what the old book says. Our book says if you're running a team and creating great value propositions, you'll be able to attract producers who want to be a part of that. So we'll get into that in just a second. If you want to know, if you didn't already do your research, just to give you an idea, in the last 18 months, the Glover Agency has added 1.9 million. That's with an M, 1.9 million in GCI, not volume, GCI commissions to our bottom line through recruiting producing agents. So we're going to get into how we did that in just a second. But real quick, I want to make sure you have some of our free resources. A lot of leaders are telling us they are using the daily message as a training and coaching tool. If you're not familiar with what the daily message is, I want to make sure you have it in your hand. So take out your cell phones and open up your text messages. If you're not currently getting the daily message, I'm going to show you how to get your hands on it. It's a message that I write every single morning on something related to listing and selling real estate. Sometimes it's I went on an appointment last night. Here's an objection I got. Here's how I handled it. Other times it's here's what we changed in our social media video, and all of a sudden we've got 2 or 3 seller leads from it. Anyways, I'm giving you and your agents real life tactics that they can win with. We know several large organizations and brokerages around the country that include getting their agents signed up for the daily message as part of their onboarding process. Because wouldn't it be nice if every day they got a tactic or a kick in the butt? Because here's what we know. You can't be a prophet in your own land. You can say the same things that I say. If I say it, they'll listen to it. No different than with our agents. I got to bring in other people to teach them as well. So I totally get how that goes. So the daily message, I'm going to give you free access to it. Here's how you get your hands on it. You're going to text the word morning to 55444. Text the word morning to 55444. It's going to ask you your first name, your last name, your email address. Just like that, you're signed up. All right. So take advantage of the daily message. Share that with your agents. Use it as a training tool. The second resource I want to make sure you have in your hands is the Glover U app. All right. By now, you should have it in your phone. If you don't, take advantage of it. There's more free resources in there than you could probably ever pay for on our website. So as long as you have the Glover U app, you'll have a ton of resources to share with your agents, all of our scripts, all of our plans of action, everything we do to help agents succeed, we end up releasing as a free resource at some point, so take advantage of that. The third and final resource that I want to share with you before we get into today's topic is we just released a second half business plan. And that second half business plan is the exact same plan that I'm operating from in my personal business. It's the exact same business plan that we're using with our agents. It's the exact same business plan that we're using with the agents that we coach. And I'm going to give it to you for free. All right. So just go ahead and write down gloveru.com/halftime. Because let's be honest, 9 days ago, July the 1st, it's halftime. The second half has started. gloveru.com/halftime. That's going to get you a PDF version of the exact business plan that we're using with our agents. Just to give you an idea, we have 32 full-time salespeople that'll do 1,000 units this year. Do the math on that per person productivity. Where does it start? It starts with that business plan. So I would encourage you to maybe consider using the GloverU plan with your agents. It's obviously proven today. So Kathy, before I turn it over to you, a lot of people don't know this. They ask from time to time, people ask me, where did you get the idea for GloverU? Where did this start? And actually, it started because I took a speaking and training course in 2005 in Livonia, Michigan, because I was nervous as could be to run an office for you. Now, let me take that back. I was confident because I just sold 30 or 40 homes, maybe even borderline cocky, because I had just sold 30 or 40 homes my first 18 months in the business. But I did not know how to lead. I did not know how to recruit. So one of the first things I signed up for, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, because if you think about it, an impressionable 19-year-old, the only really experience that I had was watching a manager run a sales meeting. So in my mind, I thought that was probably the majority of the job. I thought, well, I got to get good at running sales meetings. So I signed up for Floyd Wickman's School of Speaking and Training. It just happened to be in Livonia, Michigan, which was where my office was. Floyd, for those of you, if you haven't been around for a long time, he was like the original. Before all these fly-by-night trainers, he was the guy. Okay. They all modeled their stuff off of him. Okay. Any programs that you see today that are 6, 7, 8, 9, however many weeks long, he had the original program. It was called Sweat Hogs. Anyways, so I go to this School of Speaking and Training, and he's there, and it's a full week course. It's an intense course. And I remember telling Floyd, I had already been on the job for a couple months, but I knew I probably could do a better job. I was in training. There was a gentleman by the name of Ron Moore who was kind of looking after me and kind of helping me along, but I wasn't really announced as the manager yet. So I signed up for this speaking and training course. And I told Floyd during this class, Floyd, I think I want to do what you do one day. Do you have any advice for me? Now, again, 19 years old, I probably just turned 20 years old. I was impressionable. I mean, you could say anything to me. I was, writing ferociously and feverishly. And I guess either one of those works in that instance. Anyways, and so he said, Jeff, and by the way, this advice is not mind-blowing. In fact, I even remember kind of questioning him. He said, Jeff, you're just going to have to do something extraordinary. That was his advice to me. Extraordinary? Seriously, Floyd? Something extraordinary? And so I went back to the office and I wrote down 2 sets of numbers. I wrote down 100 times 10 and I wrote down the number 1,000. I wrote down 100 times 10 because I felt something extraordinary would be selling 100 homes a year, 10 years in a row. And I wrote down the number 1,000 because I felt like at the time there were no real estate teams or even really offices selling 1,000 homes a year. And so I knew in my mind, if I could accomplish those 2 things, 100 times 10 years in a row, which no one else was doing, and 1,000 units, get a team to 1,000 units, then I would have the respect of the industry. And from 2008 till 2018, both of those things took place. 100 times 10 plus got our team to 1,000 units. And that's when we launched GloverU. And a full circle moment for me was probably 3 or 4 years back, even though we had stayed in touch for a long time, was when I realized we needed a CEO. And so I reached out to Kathy Schweitzer, said, hey, what are you doing? Is it possible that you could come run GloverU? And so through a lot of follow-up and a lot of work, she ended up as now the CEO of GloverU and has led brokerages upon brokerages. She coaches all of our top leaders of teams and brokerages and knows what it takes to recruit experienced producing agents. Obviously, she's worked closely with Taylor as well in her new role as the CEO of Glover Agency. And so there's the background for anyone who is wondering. Kathy, the floor is yours.
All right, Jeff, thanks so much, man. We have a good history together, and the history continues, and we're making things happen with recruiting with my coaching clients. So I do coach one-on-one as well as be the CEO. My bench is full with one-on-one, but I am excited to work with all of you in the 16 weeks we have in team and broker building class. So let's get to the content. So we know that recruiting productive agents or attracting productive agents increases your profit and gets you on a fast track to profit. So what we always say around here is that recruiting solves all. And I want you to write that down. Everyone needs to write this down. Why does recruiting solve all? So I'm going to begin with giving you the not steps, but tips on why it solves all. This is critical in today's market. There has never been a better time to attract and recruit. When a market shifts, you have to understand that, everyone. So in the team and broker building class, we go a deep dive in how to have you as the leader either lead your recruiters or teach you how to be the best recruiter that you can possibly be. So please write down number one. Recruiting is the fastest way to increase your company's production and is the most important step, unless you don't have your systems in place, as you always say, Jeff. So we have to recruit people in, but make sure that we have our systems in place and our models in place. When we do in the team and broker building class that we're talking about, we go into a deep dive on the systems that support the recruiting. So recruiting is the fastest way to increase your production. That's number one. Number two, why does recruiting solve all? We know in this industry that attrition happens. People come and go. Jeff, you and I certainly know that, even though loyalty at Glover Agency is on an all-time high, thanks to Taylor and her leading that group of people, and I'm honored to work with her on that. But people come and go, so attrition happens. So recruiting solves all. You've got to keep bringing people in. You've got to get ahead of it. And productive agents are the best way to do it right now. So number three, I wrote down, recruiting productive agent solves all. Number three, productive agent income falls to the bottom line quicker than a new agent. So the income coming in with a productive agent falls to the line quicker versus a new agent. I think that's kind of common sense. But something that you have to keep in mind when we're recruiting and attracting productive agents, you must understand that you're more likely their income will hit the bottom line quicker. Okay, so that's huge. That's number three. Number four, why do we say recruiting solves all? You've got to strike while the fire is hot. Please write that down. I, as the leader, or I, as a recruiter, must strike while the fire is hot. What I mean by that, we all know and have seen that there is a shift in the market. The market has shifted. So when a market shifts, it gets uncomfortable and fearful for all the productive agents out there, right? So their business has gone down. They're concerned about the strength of their leadership. So we don't have any time to waste. And here's a question I'm going to ask you. You've got to strike while the fire's hot when a market shifts. So how many more months do you want to go until you attract great productive agents? How long? I want you to think about that. And if you have a question on that, I want you to text me to build to 55444. Text build to 55444. How long do you want to wait? And Jeff, you might have an answer to that, but I don't understand why we don't want to wait anymore. The market has shifted. As leaders, we need to go after those productive agents.
Well,
And
what
no,
I know
go
is
ahead.
that when you remove the option to recruit newbies, you're left with one option, and that's to recruit experienced agents.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking that recruiting experienced agents is going to be tough, well, then that goes back to how strong is your value proposition, because it's going to put a lot of pressure on your value proposition if you're recruiting producing agents. I think a lot of leaders hide behind a weak value proposition by recruiting newbies. You know why? Because
Great
the
point.
newbies don't know the difference. What are they
Right.
going to know? They don't know what it's supposed to be like. So I can just, do my thing and run my business by my personality and hire anyone that says they want to work with me. When you remove the option to do that, it puts a lot of pressure on your value proposition. So I would, that should be assignment number one tomorrow. Remove the option to, now you're still going to have some newbies join you because of who you are, your reputation, whatever, but that's not a source that you're proactively going after. The source that you're proactively going after moving forward is producing agents.
Exactly. And like I said, now is the time because they're looking for strength in their leaders, right? And so that's super important. And also with your value proposition, as Jeff has alluded to, and we'll talk more about that later, but also, again, deeper dive into team and broker building, that value proposition has to be strong and you have to be deeply passionate about it. So number 5, under this category, recruiting productive agents solves all. Why? Why? Number 5, the quality is in the quantity. So whether you're talking to new or productive agents, we know with the productive agents that we're going after and that I've gone after for years is that you have to talk to a lot of quantity to find the quality. There's a lot of agents out there, and you have to understand that the quality agents is we can find them, but we might have to talk to a lot of the quantity out there in order to get them. So we're trying to sift through the quantity to get quality. Why? Because when they come into your world, the culture is stronger. And you're trying to find the quality agents that meet your core values that you want to attract to come in. So always remember the qualities in the quantity. So we have
I
to
think the
talk to a
biggest
lot of agents. Yep.
I think the biggest mistake a lot of agents make there, and what I love about that point is they go so literal on their avatar of an agent. This is exactly what I need in an agent. And then they use it as an excuse for not bringing anyone on because, nope, they didn't fit this, or they didn't fit this, they didn't fit this. The reality is, you don't actually know who they're going to show up as until they've been with you for at least 90 days. Even the
Yeah.
first 30 to 60 days, they're on their best behavior. So even though on the surface, someone might not check every single
Mhm.
one of your boxes, all right? Like, if you have a culture list of 10 boxes, all right, you're going to have a little bit of flexibility there. Maybe they check 7 out of 10, and you don't hire anyone that doesn't check at least 6 or 7 or whatever that number is. But also, don't make it such a strong, nope, we don't hire anyone unless it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But then you're not going to hire anybody. And you're not going to
Yep.
find A, B, C, D, E, F, G qualities until you bring in the quantity.
Yep.
That's when they'll
Absolutely.
show.
No doubt. And sometimes we all know that we're going for quality, but we bring in the quantity, and the quantity, the person turns into a quality. So it's just an important thing to understand. Okay. So number 6, recruiting solves all. Please write down a solid game plan is a must. To recruit experienced agents and to increase your profit and get fast track to it, you have to have a strong game plan. So here's a question for you. What is your coaching and training culture like? Do you have a strong training and culture? Do you have a strong onboarding program? So, is that a solid game plan that you have in your organization? Number 7, please write down recruiting productive agents solves all. Find the problem that agents are having in the market and be that solution. Find the problem that the agents are having in the market, and you, as a company and a leader, need to be the solution. So one of the things that Glover Agency and Taylor leading it as the CEO has done a fantastic job on is going out there. She brought in and worked her tail off to bring in that $2 million in GCI, because she's always thinking, let me see where the problem is out there in the our recruiting environment with the agents out there, the productive agents. How do you find out what the problem is? You interview people and you find out what the problem is, and you have to make sure that you and your company are the solution to that problem. That is critical. So that's point number 7. Any
By the way,
thoughts on that, Jeff?
just a couple of those problems that we're finding right now is, agents, whether they're solo agents or they're on a team even, they want help with their branding. They want help
Mm-hmm.
with their social media. For a long time, we've talked about leverage, 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 but no, they don't want to work for a company that's just going to allow them to brand. They want to work for a company that's going to teach them how to build a brand. The other thing is that agents want right now, they want someone to teach them how to be a strong listing agent, because it's the days of just taking a listing and it's selling are not as plentiful as they used to be. So they're looking for a company that specializes in helping agents build a listing-based business. Those are just a few of them right now that we're seeing as real hot buttons for agents.
Absolutely. That's a common trend with the leaders and of the teams and brokerages that I'm seeing, is the fact that the agents want the brand. So love that. Number 8, recruiting productive agents solves all. Agents are learning they cannot do it on their own. They need a strong leader. what happens in a changing market, right? There's discomfort, there's fear, there's concern, and they're like, I'm just looking for a strong leader or a team or brokerage that's strong that can help me. Who is out there that can help me? And so, again, leaders, I challenge you. Are you going to go above and beyond to go out and find those people that so desperately need you? And so that's a challenge that I'll ask you. So remember, agents are learning number 8, they cannot do it on their own. They need a strong leader. Number 9, please write down, recruiting solves all. Productive agents are looking for structure. They value structure during turbulent times. They value structure during turbulent times. So what type of structure do you have in place? And as I alluded to before, what systems are in place for you and your company or team where when you bring them in, do I have everything organized? And again, one of the things that we're going to get into in the team and broker building class is not only recruiting, obviously it's a big piece of it, but we get heavy into your value proposition. We get heavy into your mission and vision. We get heavy into when you come on board, what are you going to do to help me? Okay, so productive agents are looking for structure and value structure during turbulent times. Huge point. That's out
So
of
what
your
I would
mouth, Jeff.
what I would add to that is if I'm taking notes on this, I would write down what is my current daily structure? What is my current weekly structure? What is my current monthly structure? What is my current quarterly structure? And what is my current annual structure? What happens daily in your business, in your company? Here's what we do every day at this time. Here's what happens every day at this time. Something consistent. Here's what we do every week. What happens weekly? Here's what we do every week at this time. Here's what happens monthly. Here's what we do the third Wednesday of every month at this time. Quarterly, annually. What is the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually structure of your organization?
I love that. That's an awesome question, and everyone needs to write that down, obviously. So remember, we're talking in this first section, then I'm going to go on to a couple other meatier things, is recruiting productive agents solves all. It always will. It always has been. So understand number 10. Again, write this down. Agents are looking for what you can take off their plate. Agents are looking for what you can take off their plate. That's what they're looking for. So what is it in your structure, again, your systems, that helps them take things off their plate so their job is to be in front of the clients and getting new listings, right? And getting them sold. And the last point I want to bring up under why recruiting solves all is retention is the number one recruiting tool. Agents leave because of the little things. Always remember that. Retention is the number one recruiting tool. So agents leave because of the little things that are going on. So always remember what I like to say is MMFI. Make me feel important. Make me feel important. That is the number one thing, because if you don't make them feel important, they are going to leave you. Okay? So recruiting solves all. Remember that. Yep.
Producing agents, experience of producing agents, Kathy, they notice. Like I can think of in our market right now, I'm not going to name any names. They notice the companies and the teams that have high turnover. Yeah, they bring them in,
Oh, yeah.
recruit the heck out of them, but they notice, they pay attention. They notice what companies have high turnover. And if the company has high turnover, then it is, for a producing agent, it is the last place they want to be. And that makes it very difficult to recruit producing agents if you're experiencing high turnover, which sometimes we might have to fix the turnover first before we might have to hit the reset button and start over before we make the decision to go after producing agents. But the market, the agents, the producing agents pay attention. The newbies, they don't know any different. But the experienced agents, they know the teams and the companies that have high turnover, and they're not going to those companies.
Yes, no, that's an excellent point. And remember, as Jeff just said, retention is the number one thing. So if you're having an issue with turnover, you want to make sure that your retention is strong. So that begins with connecting with the current agents that work with you in your core group, with your top agents. So that's critical in order to bring people in. You can't have people going out the back door. Okay. And that's a bigger subject than what we have time for today, but it's super important. obviously in the class that we're going to be teaching, retention is a big conversation because without strong retention, it's hard to attract. Okay, cool. So let's get into the next few things I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about 5 steps to recruit productive agents. 5 steps to recruit productive agents. And then we'll wrap up with some tips of what's working in today's market to actually get them in the door. So 5 steps to recruiting productive agents. Number 1, please write down, determine the number of agents that you need, right? So a lot of people will just kind of guess, right? So how many productive agents do I need? Remember attrition. So you have to be setting the goal, right? And saying, okay, so my goal this year for a profit is this. So how many agents do I need, productive agents doing what production at your commission split in order to reach the goals that I set? Now, here's the thing with profit. We know this is the name of this is the fast track to profit and growth is recruiting and attracting. Without a profit, you can't reinvest in the company. So when I'm saying a profit, it's so that you can reinvest or do whatever you want, frankly, but reinvest in what you already have to provide a great life for the agents that you lead. So the first thing you have to do in the recruiting steps is determine the number of agents that you need, okay? And it's something that you just have to sit down. You have to look at, again, what your profit goal is, how many agents do I have to bring in, and then obviously you have to look at your cost per agent, right? And take away the expenses. That's how you come up with your current productive agent goal, okay? So recruiting steps. Determine the number of productive agents that you're going to recruit. And again, you can just throw a number on a page, but I want you to take some time and say, okay, what is our profit goal? Where are we at right now? How many do I need to bring in based on our profit goal? And what are my costs per agent when I do bring them in? Okay. So recruiting steps, that was number 1. Number 2, create an ideal agent list. Here's what's critical about this. What are the qualities, the skills, the attitudes, and attributes you are looking for in an agent? What are they? What are they? So the question that you want to be asking yourself, and again, when we teach the class, we get deep into your core values. So if I'm going to go after a productive agent, I need to make sure that I am writing down the qualities, the skills, the attitude, and the attributes of the people I'm going after. Why? Because you become what you think about. And so if you actually write them down, you will attract that to your team or brokerage. The other thing that I'll say with that is a big piece that comes into it is the core values. So what are your core values? And that is critical when you create, number 2, the ideal agent list, the attributes and the qualities and the skills. Okay. Number 3, my recruiting steps I need to follow. Put together a top of funnel list. Okay. It should be sorted by production and will be several hundred to several thousand long, depending on what's going on in your MLS. So Jeff, tell everyone, I know you love this point, so explain to them how this really values them.
Well, at the end of the day, here's what I know. If your agents know that they have an opportunity to, forgive me, I missed your point, Kathy.
Oh, that's okay.
And
So
my
put together a
camera's
top
been
of
going in
funnel.
and out, so I'm in a weird spot, so the Wi-Fi's
That's
not.
okay.
Go
You're
ahead,
only
repeat the last
human,
part.
man. So we're talking about putting together a top of funnel list and why
Yeah.
it's so important with a top of funnel list for our recruiting steps.
So a top of funnel for the getting the leads, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So and forgive me if I go out, I'll repeat it.
Our mass marketing approach.
Yeah. So when we put ads out there on social media to attract agents and get them to download our value proposition, um, you're going to have specifically producing agents downloading your value proposition because they want to see, they want to see what's different about your company than their company without taking an interview. If they can find out in advance what it might be like to work with you without taking an interview, and they're looking, they're going to do it. So when we're running social media ads, we're specifically running ads such as download our team value proposition or download our database value proposition or download nine ways to sell more homes or whatever it is we're putting out. We have that's where we're generating people who are raising their hand and saying, okay, I believe in what you're doing. I see what you guys are doing, but maybe I'm not quite ready right now. And so you're going to have 100 leads, 500 leads, however many leads that you get from that. But so you're going to have some masses, you're going to have some quantity. And from there, you're going to determine who you want in terms of your quality. So, when I think about doing an entire broker metrics list email or an email to the entire MLS, you're going to get a lot of people that you don't want, but you're not going to find the ones you do want until you go through the list of the people that you know.
Right. No, exactly. So the bottom line is with this, and I'm telling you again, it's critical to get the step-by-step process about what to do and how to get out to the top of funnel list with the email campaign or advertising campaign and get them to, hit the QR code or whatever we're offering for them to fill it in. Then it makes your prospecting much easier.
Yeah.
Right? When you're going out to
These are
recruiting,
warm
you
leads.
just pick up the phone. Yeah, you get a lot more leads.
These are warm leads. So think about your current value proposition that you offer agents that join your company or your organization or your team. Document it, put it into a PDF, and create a social media ad. If you create a social media ad, download, the value proposition of ABC Real Estate. You're going to have agents who are out looking that will download that. And those are very warm leads.
Yes, absolutely. So any questions on that, you can text Bill to 55444 or on any of the points that we just talked about, please feel free to do that. So the top of funnel list is huge. Obviously the number's huge, but also the specifics of how to take advantage of it and how to get people in your door and how to pick up the phone and what to say to them when you're finally talking to them is important. So this is recruiting steps that we're following. So we said, determine the number of productive agents you need. Number 2, create the ideal agent list. That's critical. Number 3, put together a top of funnel list. Number 4, I want you to write down, even though I mentioned this earlier, you need to write this down in stone. Look for problems that agents are having in the market and be the solution. Okay? Until you find the problems, you need to find the problems and then take the solution and put in your value proposition. So number 4 is look at the problems that the agents have and be the solution and take that problem and put it in your value proposition. Okay? That is critical for you to do next. That's number 4. Number 5, create a target list. So we know, Jeff, this is one of the things I always remember when you started to recruit for us is you created your target list. So remember, we're talking about steps. What are the 5, 6 main steps that I have to do? So this step is define who do you want on that you want to recruit. So it's a target list. It's a more specific list. And I think you had 25 on your list.
25. Yep.
Yeah.
25.
Exactly. So explain a little bit of that to the group.
Yeah. So essentially, while you're putting ads out to attract the masses, and then from there you're deciding who gets to join you or not, we also want you to identify a list of 25 people in your market that you'd like to be in business with one day. All right. They can be high producers, medium level producers, good character people, whatever it is, 25 people that you would like to be in business with one day. Write their names down for me, it was an index card. I had an index card and I carried it around with me everywhere I went. It was just as important. Like, by the way, I looked at it twice a day. This is because, when you think about things, you're going to find ways to make it happen. So, when this was my only thing I was doing when I was responsible for recruiting, when I would get home, I'd set my cell phone down on the table, I'd set my keys down on the table, and out of my pocket would come this list of 25 names. And I would look at it every day when I got home, and then every day in the morning when I would go to work, I would put it right inside my inside pocket. And so it's amazing what happens when it's out of sight, out of mind. You don't think about it. But when you're putting some steps in place that force you to think about these people, you're going to find ways to take action to get them to join your organization. So create a hit list. No more than 25 names. It shouldn't have less than 10 or 15, by the way, because not everyone's going to join you. Not everyone's going to respond favorably to you, at least right away. But for me, the number was 25, and I carried it around with me everywhere I went.
Yeah, so I have clients that do that because
Mhm.
remember, as we said earlier, you become what you think about. So
Yep.
they're looking at it every day. And I
Yeah.
have clients, I've had two clients that have texted me this week that said,
Yeah.
because of the class that I took, and one of them I coach one-on-one, I have been consistently recruiting two productive agents per week.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how did you do that? And one of them said, I carry around my list.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they work on their skills, right?
Yeah, of
And
course. But
yeah, go ahead.
But no, Kathy, if you think about it, we know, I think it was Earl Nightingale that said, "You become what you think about," and that's proven. It's studied. Um, there's enough books written about that thought. We don't have to get into that. But I believe in recruiting. Watch this, Kathy. You attract who you think about.
Totally.
In recruiting, you attract who you think about
Yep.
because you are going to subconsciously find ways to put yourself in positions to bump into, run into, reach out to, talk to, market to. You're going to naturally put yourself in a position to attract the people that you are thinking about regularly. You attract who you think about in the real estate leadership game.
That is 1,000% accurate. And I felt it myself recruiting for all those years. And I know the clients that I'm working with, and also TK knows, especially her because she's like a dog with a bone, right? When she goes after people, but you do become what you think about. I love that. You attract who you think about with recruiting. That is a fact. The
Yeah.
other list, the target list that you want to go after, and again, we'll talk more about this in a deeper dive of specifics on this, is in the team and broker class is you want to focus on a number like agents doing 6+ transactions,
Yeah.
right, per year. And the other tip I'll say with this is, and again, you can define that. We talk about the advantages, what that number is. So some people will be like 6 to 18 transactions. Some will be 4+ transactions, but you want to identify that list. And that's very critical because that's a list that you're going to, it's a bigger list than the target 25, but that's the group you're going to go after. The other thing I'll say is in a changing market, when you're picking up the phone, and we're going to talk about that in a second, or any way that you're out, recruiting, there's 25 ways that we talk about how to recruit in the team and broker building class. And then we give you our top 10. I'm going to share a couple with you in this class as well. But one thing I want you to be thinking about is when you're going to pick up the phone or talk to those people, look at whose production, the productive agents whose production was up and then it went down, right? Because they're starving, as I said earlier, for your leadership, for your guidance, for your systems. So that's a little thing that has worked very well for me and a lot of the clients that I work with because they're a lot more interested to talking to you if in fact their businesses change a little bit because the market has changed. So that was tip number 5 about the steps, right? Recruiting steps. Create that target list. There's 2 of them. There's the 25, and then you have to define the number of units you're going to go after those agents and their number of units. And the last thing I want to say under this point with recruiting steps, and Jeff alluded to this earlier, define clearly your mission, your vision, and your value proposition. Your mission, your vision, and your value proposition. And in the team and broker building, again, we get into a deep dive with this. And here's the thing that I've learned about this. The question you have to ask yourself and understand the answer is why would someone come work for me? Why would a real estate agent come work for me? What are the real benefits that you offer an agent? And are those benefits going to help the people that you're reaching out to? The other thing that I'll say to you is it's when you're attracting people, our job, especially with productive agents, is to dig deep into what's important to the person that we're talking to. So we get into the language of recruiting. We get into the language of attracting agents. And you have to find out what's important to them first. Then you take your value proposition and you match it with what's important to them. So we look at each individual and say, what's important to you? What do you want for you and your family? How many transactions do you want to move to the next level? Why is that important to you? So we ask all sorts of questions to find out what's important to them. And then we take our value proposition and we meet them individually about what's important to them. Otherwise, it's just a pitch when you recruit people. So our job is to have a clearly defined mission, a clearly defined vision, and a strong value proposition. So when's the last time you dug deep into your value proposition and thought, maybe I need to improve it. Maybe I need to tweak it. So that is absolutely critical with your recruiting steps and what you need to be doing now. And
And the
if you
best part
haven't,
is,
yeah, go
Kathy,
ahead. Sorry,
uh,
Jeff. You can
to
tell
the
I
value
really like that
proposition,
one.
no, to the value proposition point, your agents can help you with it. They will
Yeah.
tell you. You can ask them, "Hey guys, what's trendy right now? What are you seeing? Like if you were to design the perfect brokerage, if you were to design the perfect company, what would it do for you within reason? I mean, obviously, you guys understand, we got to have enough money to keep the lights on, but ultimately, what are you seeing or hearing agents that you have closings with, and just be straight with them. Just literally, this is the script, Kathy. Listen, I get it. You're sitting across from agents. They're trying to recruit you all the time.
Yep.
They're probably telling you what's different and what's great about their company. What are some of those things they're saying? What are some of the things that you think other companies are doing a really good job of that we could do a better job of? Just ask your agents. They will tell you. And then guess what? If they tell you and you take action on some of them, you don't have to take action on all of them. But if they tell you a list of ideas and you take action on some of them, they're going to be more loyal to you than they were beforehand because they're going to see that their word means something to you.
Yeah, that's an absolutely excellent point. So, okay, good. That's awesome. So I wanted to, do we have time to throw out a couple, I wanted to just share with them a couple of the sources, recruiting sources that are working for us
Yeah, let's do it.
right now. So I'm not going to give you all 25. I can't even have time for all the top 10, but I'm going to give you like three or four, and then Jeff, I'll turn it over to you to close it. So watch, this is going to be shocking to the entire audience, but the number one source still to bring attractive agents, to attract and recruit agents, productive agents into your company is pick up the phone and call. Yes, what a novel idea. So I know that there's, again, we have another 24 ways that is causing us to succeed. And we have our top 10 that we'll get deep into in the team and broker building class. But the old fashioned thing of picking up the phone and calling. The one thing I'll say about this, consistency is the key. Make sure when you do it, what worked for me is I called later in the day, even though we know own the morning, win the day. But you also, I'm going to say to you, call between 4 and 5 o'clock, or excuse me, 4:30 to 5:30, lead follow up, because you're going to catch more agents. So obviously picking up the phone is critical. Again, we in the class, we go deep into what to say, how to say it, why
Yeah.
it's important. You asked that question, Jeff. Thoughts?
No, I was just kind of thinking, what are maybe one or two things, Kathy, that like what are the if I'm watching this, we have people obviously watching it live. We know this is going to be on YouTube. We know this is going to be on the podcast. So if I might be listening to this later, um, what is my reason for calling them for like the first time? Let's say I've never done this before. What is
Great
the reason
question.
that I'm reaching out? It's the first time I'm going to make it. I get it. I've tried running ads. I've tried this. I've tried that. I'm actually just going to do the good old fashioned pick up the phone and call them. What is the reason for my phone call, Kathy?
Well, the reason for my phone call, well, there's a couple ways I would answer it. First of all, is to get an appointment, obviously. But the
Mhm.
idea behind it is we teach you to pick up the phone and call them and share a benefit, right, of your
Mhm.
company, and then someone that's succeeding at your company with the benefit or part of your value proposition. And
Okay.
everything is a question, it's a question
Yeah.
based, right? And
So
the
you're
idea,
asking
yeah,
them, go ahead, I'm sorry.
nope, fire away.
So you're asking them, have you heard about our, for instance, showing agent model? Or have you heard about our agent branding system? Have you
Yep.
heard about our uh, onboarding, this, that, and the other? And then you're tying the value proposition to someone in your company who's having success with that value proposition. Is that right?
That's 100% accurate.
Got it. Got it. And then that leads down the conversation. I know we have the recruiting scripts and everything, but then you have follow-up questions to that, I would imagine.
Yeah. So again, going back to Jeff, what we talked about, what's the problem? Here's the solution. And I'm going to
Mhm.
give you someone in our company that's winning because of it. And
Got it.
so that's critical. So again, it's a deeper conversation. We can't get into it all. Number two, I want you to write down sources that are working is leveraging the hire. So once you get a productive agent in the door, you're going to have a good, strong conversation with that person and say, who else do you know that might be
Yeah.
thinking of leaving? So I'm kind of going through this fast, but I want you to write that down. Number two, leverage the hire. Okay.
It's kind of like we talk about on the listing side, how to get two listings, how did you get two transactions for every listing you take, how to get two hires for every recruit. And we've got that well documented.
Yeah.
I know you cover that in your team building class, but basically thinking about ways that you can quote unquote milk the hire. How can you get more out of this hire? Got it.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you again, I have a client, Melissa Merriman, who has done a phenomenal job with this year. Her
Mhm.
focus has been, her goal is like 25 productive agents. She's recruited 15 so far, all producing. And her leveraging the hire or talking to people that are coming on, who else do you know that wants and likes our culture, has been unbelievably awesome. And kudos to her for just, doing it and taking advantage of that. Okay. So next one for sources that are working. This is a little different, but I want you to write it down. Roll-ins, mergers, and acquisitions. So write down mergers and acquisitions. Again, we don't have time to really get into all this right now, obviously, but we will. We're going to cover this in Team and Broker Building, but also at our lead up, which comes in November, actually in Arizona. So when a market shifts, there are a lot of owners out there, whether it's a small team of 3 or 4 people, or whether it's a team of 20 or 30, or a company of 20 or 30, that are thinking of a change. And again, at Glover Agency, we've done that twice in the past few months, that we've actually brought a brokerage into a team. So mergers and acquisitions is really big. It's a skill that you need to learn, and it's something that you're going to continue to see as we move forward.
And Kathy, I think there's probably in 23 years of doing this, how many years you got? 35 years?
Yeah, 35. Yeah,
35 years and 23 years for me. I don't think, with the exception of maybe 2009, 2010, I don't think I've ever seen more companies looking at merger opportunities. I mean, we just rolled in an entire indie brokerage into our real estate team, a
I know.
successful indie brokerage
I know.
I mean, they were like top 10 in their market.
Yeah.
So if independent brokerages are open to having the conversation of rolling into a real estate team, that tells me there's a lot of people out there in your market that are looking and they're open to the conversation now more than ever before.
Yep. Nope. That's a true statement. And I went back and looked at my history with them, and I think it during our tenure at Schweitzer, we rolled in, or excuse me, acquired like 25 brokerages or smaller teams.
Yeah.
So it is this market is terrific for
I know
that.
that because one of them I worked for. It was it
Yeah.
was it was Schweitzer Bake, right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
you
I do
you
remember
kept the
that.
last name of the company that you guys rolled in for that
Yeah.
particular location.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Good memory. I love that.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a huge opportunity. It's not as difficult as it may sound, just for the record.
Mhm.
And again, Taylor's done a fantastic job at Glover Agency, her and Jeff bringing over those two big places. The last thing I'll say about sources. So what we're doing right now is we're talking about sources. You pick up the phone. Again, we'll teach you what to say with that. You leverage the hire, Rollins mergers and acquisitions. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the value proposition videos. So video, as we all know, is super popular. Well, guess what? It's also one of the greatest things that you're going to learn on how to get people to productive agents to come to your team is through video, right? And I
Yeah.
know that Alana and Charlie, who work in our marketing team, are super smiling because video is, they've taught me video and we know that it works. So we want to make sure that you determine like 3 or 4 or 5 of your biggest value propositions, and then you turn it into a video. And again, we will give you the exact recruiting and attracting video playbook in the team and broker building class. So I just wanted to wet your whistle a little bit with some of the sources that are working. And Mr. Jeff, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, what I was going to say there is because you understand if you get good at video, then when you reach out using some of the more traditional methods in your mind, I'm sorry, in their mind, you're the celebrity. Oh yeah, I see your videos all the time. I see your stuff all the time. And even if they don't see you as a celebrity, quote unquote, they at least feel like they know you, right? Like right now, Kathy's doing a bunch of goofy videos and they're working because people are seeing her fun personality. And so when people meet her, it's like, oh, I feel like I already know you. I see your videos all the time. So incorporating that into your recruiting campaign, are you putting enough videos out there to show off your pleasing, pleasant personality. And if you're not, then you're missing an opportunity to build rapport with people before you reach out for the first time. So, Kathy, I know right now your one-on-one coaching schedule is completely full.
Yeah.
And when we look at, an opportunity for people to work with you, there is one, and that's in the team building course, team and brokerage building course. We have leaders of teams, leaders of brokerages, leaders of large networks and downlines that are in this course. I know the next one's kicking off. Is it next week it starts, Kathy?
Yeah, Tuesday, July 15th at noon,
All
Eastern time.
right, so noon Eastern. So these are Tuesdays at noon Eastern. And this is an opportunity where they get to work with you 16 weeks in a group setting. We keep the group at 50 or less because we want there to be a good level of interaction. We want there to be a good amount of sharing back and forth. We want you to be able to ask questions. This is a 1 hour Zoom once a week on how to grow your team and your brokerage or your network. This is everything from start to finish, from recruiting to retention to value propositions. I mean, Kathy, I don't mean to step on your toes
Oh,
about the
you're good.
program, but what can I expect to learn from this program?
Yeah, so as we said, it's everything from your mission, your vision, your value prop. Even if you have a strong one, what I've learned is I've had large companies and large brokerages that went back and looked at their mission and vision and changed it because they got involved. So it starts from the mission, the vision, the value prop, recruiting productive agents. Obviously, you talked, that was what the webinar about, but what is your training system? What's your onboarding system? Is it working? Does it need to be changed? What about coaching? Am I spending time coaching one-on-one? What does my business model look like? Do I have to tweak my business model for today's world? Financially, how am I doing? Is my financial model strong? Should I be changing my financial model? So those are just a piece of it. And again, it's a strong course. It's a great course, and it helps you get to the next level, no matter what level you're at.
I think if anyone pays attention to what we've done at the Glover Agency over the last couple of
Yeah.
years, the whole program is built around essentially what we've done to recruit, what we've done to attract producers, what we've done to retain, what we've done to improve our bottom line, everything from start to finish to grow your organization larger, more successful, and ultimately more profitable. Because at the end of the day, if there's no profits, it doesn't make sense. And so if you want to work with Kathy one-on-one for an hour per week, by the way, this is the same person that helped me build a brokerage. This is the same person that helped me build a team. Then you have an opportunity to work with the same person who mentored me from the get-go. So just text the word build. You've heard it a few times now. Text the word build to 55444 for more information. You don't even have to sign up. If you just want, a copy of the document that talks about everything that's included in the course, Kathy, I know it also comes with a private Facebook group with other members of the course in there as well, and they're sharing value propositions, questions, profit type questions, challenges. They're sharing all sorts of stuff back and forth in there as well, which is like an added bonus other than the 45, the 50, I'm sorry, I say 45 because it's about 45 minutes of instruction and about 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A, because we don't want to just present and talk at you. That's like a webinar. Today we don't have a chance to really interact with you, but during group coaching, it's very interactive, and you have an opportunity to raise your hand and ask questions, and it's not a presentation. So
Absolutely. It's also, I get engaged, with the team and broker building page, right? So I've created some strong, very healthy relationships because of it. So it's not just a big group. I like to connect with as many people as possible one-on-one.
There's been a ton of leadership success stories that have come out of it. And if you want to grow your leadership lid and build a bigger business, then I would encourage you, one last time, text build to 55444, and that'll give you all the details on the program. As you heard, it starts next week. Kathy, this is our final summer webinar. We saved the best for last, and it's been so great having everyone join us over these past 6 sessions. If you missed any, you can use them as training for your agents. Go back to gloveru.com/webinar. They're all there. I just did one yesterday on how to get a great price reduction for any of you who have agents with listings that are sitting. Go watch that demonstration. I actually dissected an entire price reduction from start to finish. Go take advantage of that. Go take advantage of Kathy's class, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great one. See you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you all. Thank you.